everyone, I'm JD from Willow Journals. Welcome back to my channel. I am a journaler, journal maker and teacher of journaling courses, and today is day 18 for the Inspiration Journal course, where I'm showing you how I made my collage art journal here page by page so you can follow along at home. This is a self-paced course. The videos will always be up on my channel, so if you've just discovered it recently or today, you can still take part. My cat wants to say hello in the background too. Or if you've fallen behind, you can always come back to this. Life gets busy sometimes, and maybe you just want to do it on the weekends, or you just want to save it for a less busy time in your life. Just letting you know, these videos will always be up on my channel, so work through it with your own pace that suits you. And it's there for you whenever you want some inspiration, some ideas to fill up your own journal, and ways to use pieces from your own life to tell your stories and share pieces of who you are on the pages of your journal. So the collage prompt for today is typing. So I love typewriters and I love the typewriter font. So I wanted to put some of that typewriter font onto the page, and if you don't have a typewriter, you could just use a font, the typewriter font, on your computer using a Word document or any font that you really like, because you could just use the computer to type out anything, or you could use any type of book page with that written font, typed font as well. So just some ideas to play around with. I've got some pages here on my desk that I have typed up previously, and often I will just have phases where I will get my typewriter out and type up some lines, just some thoughts, or just random quotes or things that I want to type up. And then I'll just do a whole bunch of typing and then cut them out later to add to my pages. I've also got these bookmarks. If you're wondering what all of these are, I had a phase where I made bookmarks, and I used to sell these before I even got into junk journals. And I made these ones here, these ones with the blue and the pink. I made those ones when I was a kid, actually, back when I was at school, and other ones later on I made when I was an adult, using different things that were meaningful from my life. So some artwork that I did, the copy of the journal cover that I got for my 14th or 15th birthday, and then these ones are the most special ones. These are papers that I scanned and copied from my grandpa. So I was given some papers that he had typed up from his days as a pastor, and he was a missionary in Papua New Guinea. And it was really cool finding his pages all typed up like that, and I wanted to use them. This again was before I knew about junk journals, so I turned his papers into bookmarks, and I used some of the originals, but then I also wanted to preserve some of those pages, so I won't use those for bookmarks anymore. And I'll just preserve those pages as is, keep them as originals, but I did scan them all of them I scanned, even the ones that I turned into bookmarks, so I kept making those into bookmarks. I just printed out lots of copies of each of his papers, and then family members wanted a copy of the bookmarks too, and they would choose the ones that they wanted, and really fun having a piece of his handwriting as a bookmark. And then I just wanted to include some of his own typewriting that he did. So instead of using, like I said, those originals that I won't touch, I remembered that I had some extra copies from the bookmarks that I hadn't actually turned into bookmarks yet, because I run them through the laminator. I double-side them back to back and then run them through the laminator. So these ones I had spare, and now I get to use them in my journaling whenever I want a piece of my grandpa's writing in my journals. The great thing about those bookmarks as well is that some of them, the pages were typewritten and some were handwritten. So I've got not just his typewritten notes, but some of his actual handwriting, which is really, really fun. And I represent both on this page. So I'm just choosing some from this selection here to add to the page. I love that you can see he's used some, I guess, textures or markers, coloured ones, and I wanted to include one that he's underlined there. Just makes you feel more connected, I suppose, when you have their own words that they have handwritten, hand typed, and then underlined. Like, I think that's really, really cool. And then, yeah, so I like this combination of having my own typed pages and then having some of my grandpa's typing on there, and all just adds to that history and that story and that connection onto the page. It makes it richer, makes it fuller. The other things that I have on my desk here are some pictures of typewriters. So one came from a magazine, the one with the blue typewriter with white keys, that came from In Her Studio magazine, which I also used the pages of for yesterday's prompt, for the image prompt. I have a little tissue paper piece that actually came from Your Creative Studio, from the tissue paper that wraps up the all of the fun stationery in the subscription box. So I love that there's a typewriter, cut that out and wanted to use that on my typewriter page. And then I also have a photo that I took of the typewriter that I have that was passed down to me from my grandpa. And that is one of the freebies that is available as part of this course. There's a document of about 15 or 16 freebies that is available on my Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee that you can download and have fun using in your journal. And there is a little piece of me. And yeah, I just love typewriters. They're one of those images that whenever I see them in a magazine or pieces of ephemera or pictures of, I will always take those and put them in my stash. They're those types of pictures that I gather along with things like teacups and mirrors and glass bottles and jars and things like that. So I like this idea of combining, pictures and photos with typewriting from myself and my grandpa, and how, you can really combine all these things and it all goes together to tell a story. And whatever that story is that you want to tell, you can find the pieces for that, from old pieces to new pieces, from pictures that you find in magazines to your own personal ephemera from your own life, from other people. Like, I just love that these pages in our journals, they are safe places, holding places, landing pages for all of these pieces. And then once you put them together in the collage or however you want to put them into your journal, the pages are just full of these rich stories. I don't know, I love it. And this kind of page in particular really speaks to me about that. All of these different elements coming from different places, but yet they're all on the page for a reason. They're all on the page to tell this story. And I hope you have fun thinking about where you can find your own images and how you can collect them and store them. And that's part of the joy for me, is gathering these pieces, storing them, and then arranging them on a page, selecting and arranging them on a page to tell a story. Like, I love it. Is anyone else with me? It's so fun. I love this process of junk journals and visual journaling and collage art journaling. I just absolutely love this style right now. This is my current favorite style of journaling, and I finished this book and I have actually started a new one. I've started a faith collage journal, and in that one I'm actually working out, my plan to use that journal is to work out my next course, or one of my next courses, which is a faith journaling course. So I like having my pages where I create them and put them together myself. So altered books work really wonderfully for that, because you don't have to be worried about the pages that you're covering. There's no pretty papers or anything. You can just glue things on them and cover the entire page, and that provides this lovely backdrop, this lovely creative, inspiring backdrop for me. Putting these pages together is super inspiring. It makes me want to open the journal. It makes me want to flip through the pages and look at them, and it makes me want to use them. That's the thing for me with journals. Is a journal is made to be used. Otherwise, it's just a pretty book, which is awesome too. If that's what you just want, is a pretty book, awesome. But for me, a journal is something that invites you to use it. And when you open the journal, you just, for me, I don't know, whenever I see a beautiful journal with a beautiful cover and flip to the first page, for me, it's just this invitation that draws me in and that makes me want to use it. And yes, sometimes I do get intimidated by the journal if it's like a really extra pretty one and I'm worried that I'm going to ruin it, or I'm worried that I won't be able to use it in a way that lives up to the beauty of it. But in the end, I do tend to make myself just do it, because when they're so inviting like that, it just makes me want to do it. It makes me want to fill up that journal and use it. And every single time I've done it, even though I've had those fears of, well, no, what if I ruin it? And another fear is once I've used it, it's gone. Like I can't ever have that feeling again of going back and having that first blank page type of feeling. But anyway, all those fears aside, I've always found that whenever I have used a journal and filled it up, oh my goodness, it feels so good. And I never regret it, kind of thing. And thinking about this, to be honest, I'm talking mostly about plain journals, because that's where I started. My background was with plain blank journals, lined journals or blank page journals without lines. But I was always drawn to something with a pretty cover. And for me, they're just magical. They're beautiful. They might not look as grand and amazing or like a work of art like a junk journal does, but for me, they were still so beautiful, so inviting, and I loved filling them up and using them. And every time that I did finally use them, after I got over my fear of ruining it and all of that stuff, I just loved it. I just loved filling those things up and flipping through the pages with all the writing on them. So having said that, it's really interesting to think about my junk journals, because there's actually been quite a lot of junk journals that I've started that I have regretted using. Not regretted using in terms of adding my journaling to them. It's just I haven't found the way I want to use them, and the way that I've used them hasn't matched the cover or the design of the journal, if that makes any sense. And so that has led to me doing lots of journal surgeries, taking out pages, putting them in a different cover, or removing the pages that I did write on and then keeping the ones that I haven't written on yet, because I realized that the ones that I had written on, I didn't like the way I was using them, something like that. So that's interesting. That's, really interesting for me to reflect back on and realize that perhaps my heart all along isn't so much with junk journals, even though I absolutely do love them. My heart is more with blank pages where I can put whatever I want onto those blank pages and not feel restricted. I think that's what it is about junk journals, is that you come to them and they're already something. They're already got some sort of theme. They've already got some sort of direction that they lead me to go down anyway, because of the way that they are created, whether it's a color theme or some sort of aesthetic that it has. For me, as much as I love that, I love the beautiful journals, I guess it's too restrictive for me. And then I find when I do add my journaling, a lot of the time I'm not happy with my journaling because it doesn't match the journal or something like that. I'm not too sure. I'm just thinking out loud here as I look back at my journey in this very rambly video as you watch my process. But yeah, I've really enjoyed using junk journals at the same time that I've also really struggled using junk journals. Whereas when I look back at how I've used just normal plain lined journals, I've never struggled with those. I've filled those up and they've served their purpose and I've been happy with them and love them. And yeah, so I guess, that helps me know blank journals are the way to go. So I still love a beautiful, beautiful cover, and maybe the odd occasional beautiful decorative page. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of embellished journals with all the ephemera and the pockets, even though I do love them. It's just not the kind of journal that I use for me. So anyway, long story short, at the moment I am discovering that I love this style of journal where it is blank pages, in terms of the fact that there's nothing restricting me and I can add whatever I want to those pages. And therefore, yeah, I can be happy with whatever I put on the page because it will be whatever I make it to be, rather than clashing with the way a junk journal is made, and being restrictive that way. This way, it's just whatever I make it to be, and I guess that's why maybe I am always happy with whatever I create with a blank journal. But when I have a junk journal that's already got all of that, all those decorative elements, and then I've added my own pages, it just hasn't felt right. I don't really know the right words to say here, but I'm just thinking out loud with my journey, and I hope that makes sense. But yeah, we're all different, right? And it's all just about finding what works for you, and then once you find it, run with it. So at the moment, this is working for me, the Collage art journal, and so I am running with it. I am having so much fun making collage art journals. It's just super therapeutic, super enjoyable. I love putting together the pages with all the different things that mean something to me. Yeah, I absolutely love it. So I'm not sure what that means going forward, for the direction of Willow bound journals. But I just know for my own personal journaling, I haven't actually filled any junk journals for quite a while. The only junk journal that I'm working in at the moment is my yearly journal, and I only at the moment am using that to do my monthly check-in. So I'm pretty much using a junk journal once a month, and that's it. Which is really interesting, again, because reflecting on my journey when I discovered junk journals, while I do believe they are still my home in terms of I love this style of journaling, perhaps the junk journal itself, that isn't where my heart is. But I do love the junk journal style. Like my pages, when I do my actual journaling, it's in the junk journal style. I add all the ephemera, I add all the pretty papers, and sometimes I'll add lace and ribbons and buttons and all that kind of stuff. I love that. I love adding my photos and adding all sorts of things to the page, not just writing. And to me, that's what appealed to me in the very first place about junk journals, was that you could create these pages with beauty, with things from your life, with anything really, the photos, everything to tell your story, it can go on the page. And when I saw that and discovered that, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. That is exactly what I want to do, that I didn't know was out there, and where has this been all my life? So yeah, the junk journaling style I love. It's just the junk journal itself, I think I have to figure out what exactly I like, because I don't know. I still like decorative papers and stuff, but the more I go on this junk journal journey, the fewer decorative pages I tend to put into journals, and the more blank pages I put into them. So I don't know if I can still call them junk journals. Maybe I should just call them creative blank journals that you can use in the junk journal style. Like I definitely make them to be junk journals in terms of people adding all of the ephemera, adding all their embellishments to it, adding all their photos and their memories, as well as their writing if they want to add writing. But yeah, I don't know. I think you can get too caught up on names though, whereas don't worry about the name, just have fun. Do what you like to do and work on whatever journal you like to work in, whatever journal you like to work in whatever style you like to work with. So we're getting to the end of this video. Hope you liked seeing this page put together. If you want to see the journaling video of this course, then you can see that over on my Patreon. The link is in the description box below. And I'll thank you to all my beautiful patrons who supported in May. Thank you for allowing me to do this for another month. I hope you absolutely love being a patron and all the extra rewards you get over on my Patreon. You get access to extra videos and printables and personal updates, first access to my journals and much more. So if you'd like to become a patron in June, feel free to check out the link in the description box to my Patreon.